Okay, so that was SEO. Next part of it we can look at is the email marketing. Okay, so email marketing is really important, and we could talk about things like Facebook chat bots and all this kind of stuff that people are using these days. The kids are using these days. No, I mean there are other channels, marketing channels that are really effective as well. But just for the sake of simplicity, I think we can just stick with these for now. But email marketing, huge potential, especially with somebody who like yourself who has a really good list that you've created, you've built over the years. So having 10,000 people on an email list, 10,000 like really interested, highly qualified sort of customers is really, 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 really good. So, but the first thing that I would do for sure, kind of like high priority kind of deal, would be to separate the two groups of people, meaning separate the retail customers or the patients from the practitioner accounts or the wholesale accounts, because obviously they have two totally different sort of objectives, maybe with their purchasing, and uh, just kind of two very, very distinct groups. So I would first do that. So separate the retail customers from the practitioners, and just get that squared away first. Then for new people signing up, I would send an automated sequence. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to have to close some of these windows, but I'll wait till I pause it the next time. So let's take a look at this is a MailChimp account. I know you use Constant Contact, um, but the idea is really quite the same. So after you've installed your nice email pop-up on your website, and or you've offered your free ebook or your free course, or whatever it is that somebody signs up for the email. Sorry, they sign up to your email list, rather. Then instead of just like because I tested it out, I think, where I signed up and then in a lot of websites have this, and then you don't really hear back from them until maybe a month later or something like that. So what you want to do, because when you strike when the iron is hot, right? If somebody's really, really interested, they sign up to an email, you want to engage them right away, right? You want to begin the relationship with them. The good thing about it is that you don't have to do that manually. You can do that all via automation. So the second somebody signs up to an email list, you're going to have an automated email that is sent to them that says, oh, hey, thanks for signing up to our email list. Welcome to our community. Here are some resources. Here's a free download. Here's a discount code for this, or whatever you want it to look like. But you're engaging that person right away, right? And so you're providing value to them right away. And you're kind of staying top of mind, as they say, right? Rather than somebody buying something and then a month later getting an email, saying this, and then a month later, saying something else. You want sort of like that continuity, right? So this is the first thing that I would do. Again, would be to separate those two lists. The next thing that I would do would be to create an automated email sequence for each list. And so, a person signs up, they get an automatic email, and then there's a series of emails that follow that first email. This is all done automatically. You basically say that upon signing up for the email list, they're going to get this email followed by the next email like 7 days later, followed by the next email 7 days later, next, so on and so forth, right? So you're going for maybe like 6 weeks. It's called like a welcome sequence. So they're becoming familiar with you. They're again, you're providing value in the form of like resources, education, whatever it happens to be, but they're really beginning to think of you as like, yeah, you're developing this relationship with them, right? And it's all automated, but you're creating this relationship with them, right? So the next time they think of essential oils, like, just logically speaking, are they going to think about like this other company that like they bought something from, but then they didn't really keep up with, or are they going to think about the person that sends them like resources and information and special deals like every week? Of course, the latter, right? So this is what we want to do. So this is Mailchimp, like I mentioned, and it can easily be done in any of the email clients. So this is just like, you have your first email list, welcome to the email. A few days later, you send them this email, and a few days later, the next email, right? Now, there's even more that you can do with email, and there's a lot to be said here, but I'll keep it brief. But essentially, you can segment your list also. So it's going to make me log in again, and I maybe won't do that right now. But essentially, you have subgroups within your list. So people who have made purchases, people who have purchased a certain category of item or items in a certain category, people who never open their emails. So all these people need sort of like different messages sent to them, right? So you can segment those people into different groups and send them emails according to which group they're in. And it sounds a little complicated, but really it's just customizing your email approach to address the person on their customer journey, as they call it, like wherever they are. So this is something else that I would add to that. So that's called marketing automation or email marketing automation. So that's another part of the email thing that I would do. Another one would be there's something called a abandoned cart email sequence. Now, when people land on your site, and if you don't have the Google tracking code, you don't know who they are. You can't really follow up with remarketing with Google. Aside from other ways you can do it with keywords and stuff like that, but or you don't have the Facebook pixel, or maybe I put it in the affirmative. If you have the Google tracking code, you can tailor marketing campaigns to be more effective. If you have the Facebook pixel, you can remarket to those people. Likewise, if you have something like this set up, which is an abandoned cart email sequence, so the person has created an account or checked out as a guest or whatever it happens to be, but they've exited the page. They haven't made the purchase. Now, you can create an email sequence that automatically sends an email to them and says like, oh, hey, so-and-so, I noticed that you had something, you're about to purchase something, but you didn't. Do you have any questions about it? And the person might be like, oh, well, I was just wondering, I have sensitive skin. Is this going to, affect that or whatever? And, you can just email or have somebody email them back and say, no, whatever the case might be. But there's a really high percentage of people who put things into their shopping cart and don't actually purchase the product. So this just helps you maximize, keeping track of those people and kind of meeting them where they're at, as far as if they have questions or whatever it might be, to help them to complete the purchase. And it could be that somebody leaves the site and you never hear from them again, and they're just kind of gone. Or if you have something like this in place, you follow up with them, that person could be a customer for life. You never know. I find myself sort of in these positions where, like, as a consumer, the people who follow up with me, it's like, you know what? I wasn't going to call them back, but because they called me, it's like, oh, yeah, they care about my business. They care about me as a customer, and sometimes those companies become my go-to companies, right? So it's just really interesting, kind of like who you could turn into a lifelong customer just through, maximizing some of these things. So just in a nutshell, that's another thing you can do with email. Okay, so I think that might be all that I wanted to cover with email. So we have the list, we have automation, we have, and you just want to make sure that you're really consistent with your email. So you want to just send out on a weekly basis. It could be educational, it could be special deals, but just keeping top of mind, keeping your business top of mind with people. Okay, so I think that's what I wanted to mention with email. And I think that'll do it. The next thing I'll talk about is the other marketing things. Yeah, just because they are things that you could do as well. They don't necessarily fit into like one specific category, but they could be useful. So we'll go over them briefly.